What is up, everybody, and welcome to Weekend Review. And the Wheel of Shame picked for me the game Kemet to play, and I was able to play through the game Kemet, and I am excited to share with you my review. Kemet is part of a trilogy, which I have not played the other two, so this is going to be the first review out of those three. Once I've finished all three reviews, I can do a comparison to see which one might be right for you. But let's talk about Kemet. So first things first, this is such an incredible production of a game, and it's a behemoth of a game, and it's very expensive. If you can find a copy of this cheap, you should buy it. It is a good game. But let's talk about setup and storage. For me, the storage solution is good. So you open up the box and you've got some little instruction booklets. It comes with this, which was super helpful, by the way, and this shows you about the power tiles, and it literally goes through each color of power tiles to explain to you, and also the divine intervention cards, what they do, just in case you have any questions. This was probably one of the most helpful things in the game. If it didn't come with this, it probably would have gotten hurt pretty bad, and I'll explain why in a little bit. You've got this little board that keeps track of the score. First player to 9 points wins, and some little sandstorms. Then after that, you take out the actual board itself, and which is a massive board. And then after that, you've got these four things here that you can take out. These are for the power tiles, and these come out pretty easily, and they kind of layer into one another. And then after that, you've got all of the stuff that fits into all these storage solutions. Look at this, this is cool. All the red goes here, yellow, green, blue is down there, the black, divine interventions, the cards go over here. You've got this, which has a lot of tokens and stuff, and then all the other little pieces on the side. Storage solution is an A+ for me. This thing is fantastic. It keeps everything inside the box perfectly. It came with a lot of extra little baggies that I don't feel you actually needed, but that doesn't hurt the game at all. So for as far as storage goes, this is a 1 for me for the storage. Not that it gets 2, it's like half of it. The other half is the setup. This game is tough to set up, man. Like, it really is. It is not the worst. Is it the worst game I've set up? I don't think so. I think there are other games, like Mosaic. Oh my gosh, the setup on that is atrocious. Put out this gigantic map, and then you've got to randomly pull out tokens and put them on the map, and then flip them over. And I'm like, what the heck? And oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. Mosaic setup is crazy. It takes like half an hour. This game doesn't take half an hour to set up. It sets up in around 15 to 20 minutes, but it's still a little bit of a hit. That's a 1.5 for me. So half a point for that for the setup, but a whole point for the storage solution. Everything in here stores really well, and that makes the game set up a lot faster than it would be if this was all just randomly plastic everywhere. But yeah, that's it for storage and that. Let's talk about visuals and components. Do I need to say anything about these? Look at these dual player boards. And let me tell you something. This is an older game. This isn't a newer game. This looks really good. Like, the artwork on everything is beautiful. And all of these boards are completely different, right? Like, well, it's not that they're completely different. They're the gods that are depicted on them are all different. So you've got like Horus and Anubis. And don't even ask me about who these people are. I just go by the color of red, yellow, green, blue, and black. So that was pretty cool. Component quality is good. So when it comes to the components and the components and visuals, everything is good. The cards are fine. The card stock is really thick, so these are good quality cards. The storage solution has room for sleeved cards, so that works out pretty well as well. Then you've got these tiny little divine intervention cards, which are fine, and they fit in the box in this little side that's over here. Then the components are good. They've got these cool pyramids that I'll go ahead and take them out so you can take a look at them. These are the little figures for the red player, and each of the figures looks the same, but they are different for the different gods, have different ones. Then you've got your little action selection markers, which look like this. They're like little tokens, and you get 5 of these, which lets you play with 5 actions. And then the cool part that I love is that they've got these pyramids that are triple layered pyramids, right? And then the 4th layer goes on top like that. And so when you want to check what level your pyramid is, if it has all 4 pieces all the way up, it's a level 4. Then if this is upside down, it's a level 3. It's not fully built yet. Then this would be a level 2. And then this would be a level 1 pyramid. Now the cool thing is those level 1 pyramids, the reason that they have these different levels is going to come in with the power tiles, because some power tiles are level 1s, so you can only build them according to the levels of your pyramids. But I think the pyramid pieces are super, super cool. And fun fact, this might be super helpful for some people out there, is that if for some reason the bases of your pyramids are kind of like warped, you can actually just dip them into hot water and you can mold them back into place. So that's a cool little thing that some people don't really know, but it says it on some of the bags. So just something to keep in mind, so that way you know, like, oh, okay, well, this is all bent and warped, my copy was messed up. It's okay, just dip it in hot water. The plastic is built from a more moldable plastic, so it'll let you mold them. Then it's got the components. Also, look at these. These are the different creatures that you can purchase. It's got a little guy riding on this thing, and this is like the snake, and it corresponds with a power tile that you can buy that has certain like powers on it and abilities. There's some really cool ones in there. I think my favorite is the scorpion. It has a little guy riding on the scorpion. This is a unit. It's not technically a unit, but these, I just think that all of these are cool. And there's a ton of them that exist in here, and I know there's some expansions and stuff, but super great components. Visually, this game looks great. The map, the board of the, the map, really well drawn and illustrated. It's like an aerial view of like the land, and it's got these white lines that divide up everything. So I think that everything there is solid. That's a 2 from me when it comes to the visuals and the components. Let's talk about the learn and the teach. I think we skipped that. How easy is this game to learn? Not easy at all. I'd say this game is actually kind of difficult to learn. Teaching it is not that bad. I found like the teach was a lot easier than the learn. Actually, the teach is usually better than the learn in most games. It's easier once you've learned the game and you learned it for yourself. Teaching it just makes it like, oh, okay, well, basically here you're gonna get 5 of these actions. That's what you can do. That's it. You can move, you can do this, or you can do that. Those are your actions. It's up to you. And then just let people ask questions as they go. But yeah, I'd say that as far as the learn and the teach goes, I'd give it maybe a 1.5, because the learn is kind of difficult. I had to watch a couple of videos to try to figure out. And the thing is, the thing with these older games too, and that's why as I'm doing this review, I'm not gonna like do a whole bunch of nice sexy B-roll for it, because they've already done so many reviews for this game, and I'm not gonna show you anything you probably haven't seen. But if there's a newer game that I know not a lot of people have covered, I'll usually do a lot of the B-roll for those types of games. But for this game, I think the learn, the teach, 1.5 for me. Let's go on to gameplay mechanics. So the game is relatively simple, even though it's kind of hard to learn. It just, everybody has, on their board, you have to take, you're going to take 5 actions on your turn, and each of these 5 actions are going to correspond with one of these little things, right? So over here, the easiest action is just this little thing gives you 2 prayer points. Prayer points are tracked up here. That's the currency of the game. So anytime you want to do an action, you would spend prayer points to do those actions, and you're going to need a ton of those. So you have to use your turn to get some. The other action that's at the bottom here is to buy a power tile, which I'll explain in a little bit. Movement. Movement can be a little bit complex, because when you move troops, you're allowed to move them only like 1 space, but then there are certain tiles, power tiles that you can get, and creatures that will add plus movement, so then you can move further than just 1 space. And every move action is composed of 2 things. It's both a move action to move through different white lines that are the border lines, And then the second move part of a move action is a teleportation from a pyramid. So you can teleport people from a pyramid to anywhere where there's an obelisk on the map, which will usually trigger a battle or a conflict if you teleport into a place where there's enemy troops. So that's something you always have to keep in mind and watch out for. It's part of the strategy of the game, but you have to pay 2 prayer points in order to do that, which are up here at the top. That's movement. Then you can build your pyramid, which is over here. If you take that action, you would build up one of your pyramids, and then so the way that works is that you pay the price of the level you're building, right? So if you're building a level 1, the first level of the pyramid, that only costs 1 prayer point. But if you're building the second level, that costs 2 prayer points, 3 prayer points, and so on and so forth to build the 4th top of it. But you can, when you take a build action, you don't have to just build 1 level. You could build as many levels as you want. You just have to be able to spend the full prayer points. So to build an entire pyramid, it would cost 1, 3, 6, 10. It costs 10 prayer points to build up a pyramid from the ground up, because it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 prayer points to build up. So you can build up the pyramid all the way up to the beginning. And then last but not least, this is the recruit action, which will allow you to put troops out and let them join another troop that's out in the battle, or to go start at a pyramid that you own. And then the other thing is creatures are also allowed to be recruited out, even though they don't count as a unit, but you don't have to pay for them. They just kind of go out with the units that you paid for. Each unit costs 1 prayer point to deploy. So if you're deploying 5 of them, it costs 5 prayer points. And let me tell you something, on your turn, you can only gain 4, and then you gain some at the night phase, which I'll explain in a little bit. But yeah, so this game is pretty interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, I put that away. And then the last action at the very bottom is the buying a power tile. The power tiles, you'll have like red, white, black, or blue on the bottom. But the prayer tiles are pretty interesting. Not the prayer tiles, the power tiles, because each one of these trays, there's about 4 of these with 4 different colors. Each one of these trays has different power tiles that give you different abilities. So for example, this power tile lets you, when you use a recruit action, you're allowed to recruit 3 extra troops for the cost of 1 into a city, okay, that you own. And then this one just gives you a divine victory point, the FPs. This one gives you an extra token to use, so you get 6 turns instead of 5. This one will let you gain prayer points +2 during the night phase, I believe. During the night, and then this is the day phase as well. Down here, if you have a level 4 pyramid, the pyramid levels correspond to these. So if you have a level 1 pyramid, you could buy a black pyramid. You could buy anything from the top. If you have a level 2, second layer, level 3, third layer, and so on and so forth. Some of these have creatures. The creatures have abilities where they can let you move, or they'll let you do different things. It's really cool, man, and there's a lot of different cool powers. One tile my friend got was like a tile that would give him 7 prayer power in between turns during the night phase, and I was like, oh my gosh, he had literally 11 prayer points every single turn, which was tough to fight against. But yeah, it's a dudes on a map not skirmish game, but area control game, and going last sometimes was very beneficial because you could take over somebody's point when their army is weakened. So if they go battle somebody, you can just swoop in there and kind of kill them if you're going with the last player. So a little bit of an advantage there. You're allowed to choose in between phases, because there's like the day phase where you do all of your actions, and then at night there's like a cleanup phase. The cleanup phase was kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. Like, memorizing that, I had to use the instruction booklet the entire time, because look at the steps for this. Because the actions are easy to memorize and understand, but the night phase, my goodness. So it's like step 1, offering phase. Step 2, Delta Tempo Control. Step 3, Tempo Control, Adoration, Prayers, Divine Intervention, Conscription, Awakening, Destiny. There's 9 steps to the cleanup phase where you're gaining points and stuff like that. And some of them are easy. It's just kind of like, hey, do you control the Delta? All right, so sacrifice 2 followers and gain 5 prayer power. So that part of the game isn't complicated, but the gameplay mechanics are fun. Whoever steps into a space with another troop automatically initiates a battle, which I thought was really, really interesting. And if you're the aggressor, then you guys basically will choose these little cards. Everybody has the same cards in their hand, kind of like Ankh. And so these things will tell you how much power you have, combat power, how many casualties the other person will suffer, and then on the bottom there is usually the defense, which tells you how many of your soldiers will survive the battle, because you're defending against those attacks. But so yeah, there's a lot of interesting mechanics when it comes to the combat. I thought the combat was really solid, probably one of the coolest parts of the game. Apart from that, man, like, it is just a really, really good game where you're fighting each other for victory points, which are called FP, fame points. And one of the cool things is that, like, if you own a pyramid and you build it all the way to level 4, you get a pyramid FP, which is yours temporarily unless you leave that pyramid alone and somebody stomps in there and takes it from you. It's still your city, but your temple is under the control of an enemy faction, and so now you lose your pyramid FP. So somebody could literally make a power move, like towards the end of the game, where they go, I'm going to take over your pyramid, now give me your pyramid FP. They lose the lead, you gain the lead, and then all of a sudden you do something there and buy a tile that gives you a victory point. It's so cool. Like, and I like that there's no set number of rounds, but rather whoever gets to 9 FP and stays there till their next turn, that's the coolest part about it. It's like, I have 9 FP, check, right? And then each person says, I have a turn to stop you from winning, meaning I can take one of your temples, or I could take over one of your pyramids to take over your temple FP or your pyramid FP. And by doing that, I've stopped you from winning the game. Phenomenal. That level of, like, conflict is so good, and that push and pull of, like, man, I took your temple FP and I'm going to gain a divine FP, which divine FP are different. Fame points, regular FP, can be lost in battles, them taking over your pyramids, different things like that. But divine FP are permanent for the rest of the game, so nobody can take those from you. So the goal is to try to get a lot of those divine FPs, build up a strong army, and then try to get some of the other FP. I love this game. I know when you play with the map, the gameplay-wise, there's like, if you're playing at 3 players or 2 players, you use half the map. If you're playing with 4 or 5, you use the other half. They have little sandstorms to take out certain cities so that way you don't use them. But this game is really, really good, man. I like it better than I like Ankh for sure, which will tell you a little bit about the score if you've ever heard my review or rating for Ankh. I don't think I've ever done a review of Ankh, but I have a rating for it for sure. So gameplay mechanics and I think are phenomenal. 2 out of 2. I love them. And then last but not least, the fun factor, replayability, and theme. Theme is great. I love the theme. I love the divine intervention cards, which I didn't talk about, which are these sneaky little. Oh, by the way, you know, like, you can calculate and say, this guy, if he moves, he's only going to be able to move 1 with that little beetle thing. He can probably move 3, but he needs 4 to get to where I'm at. So then you're like, so checkmate, I win the game, right? Nope, I have a divine intervention card that lets me move an extra space. Dang it, they can reach me, right? Or maybe you go, he can't possibly beat me in this combat because I have more combat power. He would need +2 combat to win, and then they reveal their card, and right on the other side is a tricky little divine intervention card that says +2, which you have to factor in. These little things can really be game changers. These things do some interesting stuff. They will give you +1 defense. This one's really fun. You can actually just eliminate one of their soldiers from the battle. So, like, if they have like 4 troops and they're like, I outnumber you 4-2, you'd be like, all right, now it's only 3-2, and I have a combat card that's going to give me more attack power. This is such a cool game. Like, fun factor, it is super fun, man. This is probably one of the funnest games I've ever played. The people that I've played it with have absolutely loved it and just gave it the highest praise. And also replayability, ton of replayability. I could play this game as many times as I want, just because there's no, like, asymmetry, which I think takes away from the replayability of it, but I still think it's super replayable because at different player counts gives you different experiences. The power tiles is what makes this game replayable because each power tile is different in what it provides, and so it's like I went all red this time. Maybe let me try blue, or let me try white or black, and let me see. And as you randomize those things, it really changes up the strategies you need to use. And if somebody goes red and you're like, I really want it to be aggressive, but somebody took all the red ones, maybe I can build up a cooler little engine with some of these blue power tiles, which add to your movement, your attack power, and a whole bunch of other stuff. This game is great, and I give it a 2 points for that as well. So review, it's got for the setup and storage, it was a, did I give it a 2 for setup and storage? No, it's a 1.5 for setup and storage. The learn and the teach is a 1.5 because it can be a little bit tricky. The gameplay mechanics was a 2. Artwork and visuals, the visuals and components, 2. And fun factor, replayability and all that, another 2. So 2, 4, 6, 9. This is a 9 out of 10 game. I love it. Can't give it a 10 out of 10 because there are some things that were, minor little gripes, but otherwise, this is a great, phenomenal, perfect game. Kemet Blood and Sand. Definitely, one thing that I'm upset about is that I'm doing my top 100, and this would 1,000% make it close to my top 10 for sure, but it's not going to be on those lists, unfortunately, because I just played them. But I definitely got to do an updated version of that because playing these games is just making this a lot more difficult. So I love this game. Can't wait to play it again. 9 out of 10. You heard it here, folks. Tell me what you think in the comment section. What do you like about Kemet Blood and Sand? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out our memberships. $3 a month is all it takes for you to get early access to videos, exclusive videos, playing on BGA, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So check me out. Check out the memberships, please. That would be awesome if you could support the channel. Take care. See you guys later. Peace out.